Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax, and let's chat about what is happening up in the sky. And trust me when I say there's a lot happening out there today. It is a crazy day. I'm likely going to take up most of the hour today. Hopefully, we'll have some time for chitter chatter. Because there's so much happening in just this one day. And because tomorrow is technically the new moon, but it happens before we get up in the morning or just as we're getting up in the morning. By the time I come on air, the new moon will already have occurred. So we're going to talk about the new moon as well today. So we have a lot to get to. For one thing, we have the new moon we're preparing for, right? That is always a big deal as we're finishing up one cycle and then preparing to go into a new cycle. We have Mercury, the planet of communication and the mind, moving today from Leo, where he was for most of the summer, and then retrograded back into Cancer, and then moved forward again back into Leo. And he is now finding himself in Virgo, adding to the stellium. Sun is trining Uranus today. And we also have a change in the human design week as we begin to focus on the energies of the gate, the sun at gate 40 and the earth at gate 37. So we have a lot to talk about. So let's start to break this down. First of all, let's say good morning. I see Mimi, you've joined us. Good morning. It's good to see you out there. And it's funny because one of the things that Virgo totally rules, if you will, is punctuality. And I was sitting here this morning, and at the last second, I decided, oh my gosh, I have more I need to write down about what I wanted to talk about today. And so I'm doing that, totally lost track of time. Next thing I know, it's 8 o'clock right up on the dot. I went, okay, we need to get here because punctuality and timing is also something that Virgo either struggles with or is overly focused on, is being punctual, right? Being on time. So funny thing here this morning for me, as I definitely was still on time, but I could have, if I didn't look down at my computer, I might have just kept going and going this morning, not realizing, oh my gosh, I should be live right now. So let's see who else is checking in with us. Ashley, good morning to you. Colleen, nice to see you. Chanel, good to see you. Jan Landry, nice to have you with us again this morning. And I'm really fascinated by these badges that Facebook is suddenly giving people. So Ashley's a follower. Colleen is an anniversary follower. And Jan is a follower. And Mimi, weren't you something else the other day? There's an anniversary follower. I just think that's too funny. Where did they get these badges? I want one. I don't have a badge that I know of. Who needs badges, really, right? So let's see. I think there's enough of you here. Let's kind of jump into what it is that we're working with today. Remember, we are in a void of course moon. So today, even though we're building up this energy toward a new beginning, we are really kind of stuck in sort of a funk at the moment. And the void of course moon providing us the opportunity to really dive in, see what it is that we really want to accomplish. Where is it we've been? And where is it that we would like to go? And then being able to do some internal work on getting prepared, perhaps, for that new moon tomorrow morning. So the new moon, or the moon, excuse me, is in the last several degrees of Leo today. It will be in Leo until 4:57 my time, so 7:57 for you all on the East Coast, at which point it will move into Virgo in preparation for its new phase early tomorrow morning. And as it moves into the sign of Virgo, it will connect immediately with the planet Mercury, who has already moved into the sign of Virgo, as it did just after midnight my time and just after 3 a.m. for you guys in the East Coast. So, or on the East Coast, not in it. So anyway, we have now Mercury in a new place, bringing up new energies for us, completing that powerful stellium of planets. Now we have Mercury, the sun, we'll have the moon, and Venus and Mars, all in Virgo. I'm feeling like I missed one. Venus, Mercury, Mars, the sun, the moon. 5 things that will be in Virgo tomorrow at the new moon. And they're all relatively close together. We'll see when we talk about the new moon that all of those inner planets are focused in a very tight area in your chart, literally between about 4 and 11 degrees of Virgo, which happens to be where my natal Pluto is and where my natal moon is. So this is happening at a new moon for me, sort of thing. Interesting, right? And I don't really feel like there's anything new on the horizon for me, which I think is even more fascinating. So I'm not sure what all of that means for me personally. And as well, you may be feeling like there's something new on the horizon, but maybe it hasn't really poked its head out yet. And I think what we're going to find out with this moon isn't about what is showing up. It is about what do I want. I wrote that a couple of different times this morning as I was preparing the day's work. What do I want? Because it feels to me like this particular moon is about taking your desire and putting it into action. And that is literally what we've been talking about already with the number of planets that were in Leo and having moved them over into Virgo, where we can't just sit up with this desire and these ideas and stuff, creative energy up in our heads, where we had to bring it in and we had to do something with it. So Mercury in Virgo. By the way, Virgo is a sign that Mercury rules at this point. It has a dual rulership of both Gemini and Virgo. And in Virgo, our speech and our mind become more precise, succinct, detail-oriented, and our thinking also comes into alignment with those same kind of energies, where, for the next foreseeable future, in fact, until September 14th, Mercury will be in Virgo, giving us this play of facts and ideals and the details of something that we can have access to really easy. This reminded me of a saying, just the facts, ma'am. And I think it was from some crime show back in the 70s or 60s. And, as a detective, all this guy wanted were the facts, the details. But there's also a little bit of a warning there for us not to get overly into the details, because you might miss the bigger picture. Right? So we don't want to miss the bigger picture. We do still have Jupiter in Sagittarius, after all, helping us to see the bigger picture. But if you get so laser focused on the minutia or on the small details, you might miss the bigger thing that's going on. You might miss the big billboard that says, go this way, right? And then you miss your exit off the freeway or your exit off the, trail of life here and moving into the direction that is correct for you. This is a great time with Mercury organizing, analyzing, cleaning. And when I say cleaning, I'm really meaning like what's up here that you can clean out, right? What do you want to, how can you organize your thoughts better? Maybe organize look in your outer world, and where you see maybe disorganization, maybe that's related to something that's going on within you, giving you the opportunity to clean it all out, arrange it, organize it, etc. So that is our Mercury in Virgo until September 14th. By the way, everything that's in a stellium right now in Virgo is moving eventually into Libra as we move into later in September. And this is a pattern, by the way, that we noted last year when we did the astrology for 2019, that as we moved through the year, we would see these stelliums forming in each sign successively. So right now we're in we had it going on in Leo, now it's Virgo, soon it will be Libra, then Scorpio, etc. And that was our focusing in specific key areas of our lives as each month goes by into 2020. When, of course, then lots of things begin to happen for us. So we also have all this week has been the week of Uranus, right? We had first Venus that was in a trine to Uranus, then Mars that was in a trine to Uranus, and now the Sun that is a trine to Uranus. Now, don't mistake me. It's not that one comes in and moves off. It is literally we're adding to this particular this particular aspect. So Venus is still within orb of a trine to Uranus. Mars, of course, is still in orb of a trine to Uranus. Now today we're bringing the sun into a trine with Uranus. And we will also, at the new moon tomorrow, have the same thing. Venus, Mars, adding to it Mercury later in the week, and the new moon at a trine to Uranus. So we have some time here, extended time of excitement, or you might be feeling those butterflies flying out of formation in your belly. You might have these moments of absolute brilliance or excitement. I've also seen some surprising things happening to people in their health. A gentleman that my husband works with yesterday suddenly had only a 35 beats per minute heart rate, and it happened because of a drug interaction that, his two different doctors prescribed him drugs that interact negatively together. And surprisingly, this very healthy and robust man in the hospital with his heart rate so low that it could barely support his life. So kind of an emergent situation happening there. So people having experiences of surprises and shocks, as well as the excitement and the super brilliant genius sort of energies that also pop out during this time. Now, if we greet all of these things with humor and with an open mind, then we find ourselves able to really find something being revealed to us, or tapping into something that maybe we hadn't seen before, or opening up our minds and our eyes in a way that really supports our being able to see something more clearly. And we've all had these experiences where we've maybe been struggling with something in our mind, and when we stop focusing on it, all of a sudden, aha, something magical happens, and you suddenly realize you have the answer, and you've had the answer all along. Well, that's kind of what we have going on today, where these ahas are potentially life-changing, direction-changing. And it will force us perhaps to get out of our comfort zone. That was a big theme we saw yesterday. It has not changed today. It will not change tomorrow, nor, I think, through the weekend. The whole idea is that we're being forced out of our comfort zone and into an area that is where we will stretch and to grow. It is sort of like widening or broadening our horizons, right? Or that elevation that you feel when you can see things from a higher perspective. So we're all in this together. This isn't just like me or you or some of you. All of us are in this one together. And if you find yourself stuck somewhere, look to your mind, right? What is your mind constantly taking and running through your head? What is the deal, right? Wow, Hurricane Dorian now forecast to grow to a Category 4. So much for good news, right? That one's not so much good news. But there's still a chance that Hurricane Dorian could swerve off and go out into the ocean and not hit land near Florida or the Carolinas at all, or Georgia. So we have hope still. Okay, so trying something new, we have rising confidence as well. And I got to tell you, some of us may find this energy is a bit aggressive or assertive. And other people that maybe are not in the know about astrologically what is going on may become pushy, or may become overly aggressive, or, wanting, to get their own way. I fully expect that, there may be some confrontations that go on with people who aren't understanding that they're being aggressive and not just assertive. But it comes from a place of that rising confidence, right? Of being able to really feel like, yes, I can do this. I got this. I can go forward. But everybody may see things differently or interpret things differently based on what their personal astrology is. So we want to hold the space for everybody to be the truth of who they are, and to be that confident and that assertive self. But we also don't want to get stepped on or be the people that step on others to get to where we want to go. So we're walking that fine line there. Let's see here what other people are saying. Colleen, struggling with time, and Virgo, me too. And then add to that, if you have an open spleen, you may even struggle more so with time. Mimi says, a week of the slow building toward the new moon, slow to get the work done and slow to get to sleep. That's been sort of happening to me too. Joe Friday, that's what it was, Dragnet. Just the facts, ma'am. Asa, good morning. Lynn, good morning. And by the way, thank you, Mimi, because that would have just driven me crazy until I figured it out. Londa, good morning to you. Brenda Gagnon, good morning to you. And Lynn, if I didn't say good morning already, good morning to you as well. Nice to see everybody out there this morning. So let me see. What do I want to switch to now? Let's take a quick look at the Pleiadian-Earth energy for the day. Remember, yesterday was 1 Emish, which was the beginning of the round of the calendar. So it was a spiritual birthday, if you will, or a spiritual new year. And today is the number 2. Universally, we are sort of resonant with the energy of duality. And you know what's funny is the duality may be this caught space that we are in right now between what we think we want to do and having the ability or the energy to go out and do it. Caught in the middle, if you will, for the moment. Now, today's earth energy is breathing energy, the in and the out breath. In the Mayan calendar, breathing energy was Ik, which was the wind. And I always find this way that this unfolds very interesting, because we have first the energy at Fiamish, which is the creation energy, sort of the seed planting energy, if you will. And then it moves to Ik, which is the wind, which disperses the ideas and possibly even digs up the seeds, right? If you have too strong of a wind that blows right after you plant seeds, it can dig up the soil and disperse the seeds elsewhere. And that kind of sets us up maybe for some unpredictable benefits, maybe, or some unpredictable changes. So our need today is to harmonize with whatever the energy brings us, whatever the wind blows in for us. So we have to watch out for being fickle. We have to watch out for being taking unpredictable action, and you also have to watch out for other people being fickle or unpredictable in their actions. So there's that sort of energy of sort of, I don't know, throwing things up in the air a little bit and seeing what lands through the Pleiadian-Earth energy today. But I really, overall, 2 energy is about harmonizing the 2 opposites, right? So the energy of details on one side, that Virgo energy of seeing the details, and yet Jupiter in the bigger vision, and being able to bring those into harmony where we can both see the big picture and work the details to get to the big picture, if that makes sense. And dispersing these ideas and inspiration that have been dug up for us maybe today. Now, from a human design standpoint, we have the sun at gate 40 and the earth at gate 37. So I want to show you what the, hold on, I've got too much paper here, and maybe that makes it smaller so it'll fit in the screen. There we go. So here is where we have the will center, and over here is the emotional center. The sun is now at gate 40, which is on the will. Remember, that's the gate of divine will in its highest gift form, or in its highest siddhi form. It is about using divine will, using your will appropriately. And it connects to the emotional center with gate 37, which in human design is the gate of serenity or harmony or friendship. But in human design, it takes on a higher energy, and we might think of that as the energy of equality, where it's fascinating in the grand scheme. If we step back, this particular gate is a gate numerologically that connects us to gematria, or through gematria, to the Christ energy, to Jesus energy, which Jesus energy, masculine energy, but also in balance with the feminine, right? So what we see when the earth is sitting at this gate is this rising feminine energy that is striking the balance with the masculine counterpart, but using your will appropriately to assert yourself in that way. So we have the moon, the earth at this particular gate. This is about yin yang, masculine, feminine. and how out of balance they are in the shadow. So when you look around the world and we see how out of balance that masculine feminine is, this particular gate helps us move to true equality, which is that we see a balance in all things. But here is evidence. I love evidence. This is evidence of the great feminine archetypes emerging more and more consciously out into the world. And we've talked about this before, a little bit anyway, as more and more, they run out of masculine archetypes for the gods. Imagine that. So when new planets come into play, they are being related now to the feminine archetypes. So we have Ceres, the mother goddess, right? We have Eris, the goddess of discord. We have Sedna. We have Selena. We have what are those other ones? Vesta and Juno, and on, right? So all of these new bodies, as they emerge, they become the feminine archetypes. So we see that then the feminine archetypes becoming more and more, Pallas Athena, that was the other one I was thinking of. So those feminine archetypes becoming more powerful and inserting their form of divine will into the picture. So this entire week then, from a human design perspective, is one of balancing, bringing things into equality and harmony, but also gate 40 with the sun's energy there. And by the way, it isn't just the sun. It is the sun, it is Venus, it is Mars, and tomorrow it will be the moon, all sitting at that gate 40, right? Because think about that. Think about that. And Mercury will also be ending up in that, although it'll be another couple of days before he is there. But that gate 40 then is this energy of where we are using our will inappropriately. We talked a little bit about this last week, where we use our will inappropriately. And so most of you, 7/8 of you, have an open will center. So you take in this energy of perseverance and endurance and willpower, and you apply it incorrectly based on how society has, or your family has predisposed you to do this, has conditioned you to do this. My daughter and I were having this conversation via text yesterday, right, about this exact same thing, because I've been listening to, she keeps turning me on to these books. And I was listening to the Unfuck Yourself book, and then his next book, which the name of that one escapes me for the moment, Shift Something. And then the books that were Girl, Wash Your Face, and those books that she's been reading, and she gives them to me, and so I read them. But I was struck by something yesterday. And I think literally it wouldn't have even come up except that the sun and the focus of all the energy in the charts are going into this gate 40, where in those self-help books, they are very gung-ho about taking action, about just going out and doing it. They're very Nike-like in their presentation of this material, which is great for you if you're a generator, or great for you if you are a manifesting generator. But what about the projectors, the reflectors, and the manifestors, right? They're leaving out about 30% or so of the population, and a rising percentage of reflectors and projectors out there in the world that are being conditioned by all of this self-help talk to go out and use their will to get where they want in life, yet most of them have an open will center. And literally that center is also called the heart center. The heart center is in charge of the regulation of your circulatory system, the heart, cortisol, anxiety type things. So you can see potentially adrenal burnout going on in a mass group of people who are being challenged to rise up and just do it. And so while I think it's exciting, and I think that their underlying message is take responsibility for yourself and where you are and where you want to go and who you want to be, the way that you go about doing that is not the same for everyone. It's not even the same for the generators and the manifesting generators to go out there and do it the way some of these people are saying it. I guarantee you that if I got a chart of this guy, Gary John Bishop, and I forgot the other girl's name, it'll come to me, we would see that he's literally a manifesting generator. where he has access to a defined will center. 1/8 of the population is out there driving their will and persevering and enduring and staying the course to get things done, which is good for them, but not so good for the others. And actually, it isn't even all that good for them if they're always doing that, because the will, the correct use of will, is that it turns on, gives you that push and that it's kind of that inner injection of energy, and then it turns off, and we're meant to rest. We're not meant to go 100% balls to the walls, 100%, moving without resting. And so we get these people that come out there and present this material, and then we think there might be something wrong with us because we can't do it, right? Or we don't have the energy to do it. And if you're a projector out there and you're trying to keep up with all of the generators and manifesting generators, you're literally going to burn yourself out. You're going to trigger autoimmune diseases, perhaps. And even those of you who are generators and manifesting generators, that can still happen to you. So you have to learn to live your life according to divine will, not thy will, divine will. And that is an important distinction, because we as humans can get caught up in the moment. We can get caught up in the rhetoric and the noise out there in the world, the ads and the marketing that goes on that tells us to keep going and push and do. And we find ourselves literally in bed, or in some cases in a situation where we have such anxiety that we can't even go through the day without taking a drug, right? Or without doing something that we don't necessarily want to do. So this conversation with my daughter, by the way, who's a manifesting generator, and she was like, yeah, this is so true. And I'm like, no, it's not for everyone. And, so it's just a caution. If you find yourself pushing and pushing, that you're pushing the river, and here you're using will incorrectly. And I suspect that a lot of people may be getting involved with this as all of this energy is building up, and we feel good, right? We feel energetic, but you can literally push too far, too fast, and then fall flat on your face and then wonder what the heck happened. Good morning, Debbie Tibbetts-Tumiel. Good morning, Christine. Good morning to anybody else who's joined us that I missed. And I want you guys to ask questions. I see there's lots of you out there, and I see at least a couple of projectors sitting here. What do you all think about that, right? Do you find yourself right now with all of this energy wanting to push and wanting to get done, and maybe even being pressured from outside of yourself to do these things? And while I'm saying it's a good time to get some things done, make sure that you're using your will correctly, right? In a way that doesn't lead to exhaustion, which, by the way, is the shadow of all of this energy sitting at the gate 40. It's exhaustion, as opposed to in the gift where we have the energy of resolve. And resolve is a sort of passive at times, and other times, aggressive or assertive energy. Resolve just says, okay, I know that this is what I want to get done, but I also know that it happens in fits and starts, that it happens with a push forward and then a pause, and then another push forward and a pause, and maybe even a step back. So taking that energy in and understanding how to use it. Now, remember I said that tomorrow's new moon, in fact, it's already happening here today. The only piece not clicked in yet is the moon, that we have all of these planets that are lining up in a trine to Uranus. So I thought it was interesting to look at where Uranus is in human design. It is sitting at the gate 27, which is a gate of nurturing. Gate 27 is right here, and it sits on the sacral. So it's a gate of action, right? This is the sacral center is work, service, sexuality. It is all of the juicy vitality, life force energy that we use to move out into the world. But it's not connected over here to anything. It is sitting here, and it is creating space for us to be nurturing, or to nurture, or to be nurtured. And nurturing is also something that isn't necessarily using your willpower. This is using your energy to feed, to clothe, to take care of. And nurturing also says that we plant the seeds, and then we water them, but we don't keep going and obsessing over, are the seeds growing? Maybe I should dig up the dirt and see. Do we dig up the dirt and see if the seeds have germinated? No. We plant the seed and we do the nurturing. We water it. We make sure the weeds are out of the way. And then we make sure that once it starts growing, that if we have to prune something, we do that. We don't dig it up to look at it and go, oh, wow, look, it's germinating. Literally, you would kill it, right? So there's a caution here in the connection between all of these planets lining up in Virgo in a trine to Uranus that says that there is a practical and an earth-oriented, grounded way to go about getting these things done, about getting your energy out there into the world. And it isn't by obsessing or constantly doing something. You know, you plant and you wait, right? And then it grows up a little bit, and then you do what you need to do. And then you might water it, and then you move on. And then you see what I'm saying? I hope you guys get that connection to your own life. It doesn't have to be you constantly obsessing over what is you're building or how is it turning out. Jan says, I'm a projector and I often want to initiate instead of waiting for the invitation. A bit of a struggle. Jan, what you're describing to me is called a conundrum. And a conundrum, every one of you, including me, has a conundrum. There is a built-in conundrum in all of our human designs. And a conundrum is where we seem to have two things that are opposing one another, pulling us in opposite directions that we have to solve, right? Or that we have to bring into some kind of harmony or balance. Like, for instance, the best one that I can see that points it out so quickly and easily is a conundrum in the people who are opportunist hermits, 4-2s or 2-4s, where 2-4, where the hermit part of you wants to withdraw and be quiet, but the 4 part of you needs to be out in the world in order to get your opportunities. So you have to solve that conundrum, right? You have to be able to be out in the world enough to be finding your opportunities, but you also have to withdraw enough to be able to recharge your batteries. So you have to find that middle ground. So all of us have a conundrum. Projectors often have a conundrum based in your type, because the world we live in is a generator world, a generated world. 70% of the population out there with the energy of work and the life force that is sustainable enough to see them do things and endure and persevere and keep going and going. And projectors do not have access to that, right? When you hear go out and just do it, it won't work for you as a projector, right? Because you're waiting for that opening to come to you via an invitation. And it can send the mixed signals, and you have to be able to find the solution to that in your life. Londa says, you're my regulator. You always remind me of my Buddha nature, not superwoman. I got to find those pictures, because I think it was Karen Curry when I was first learning about the types. And this goes back to 2013. And she had this wonderful picture of, Superwoman or Superman. It was a Superman picture. And, flying off and representing what projectors think they are, right? Because they're trying to keep up with everybody and with, likely the generators and the manifesting generators in their own families, in their workplace, or in the, community that they're a part of. And they become, they're doing everything, when they are literally meant to be the sitting Buddha, where they're sitting in repose, they're sitting in rest until they're called out to do something via an invitation. And I just, that is the most striking image I can think of to differentiate a generator, manifesting generator type versus the projector type. But what happens ultimately is the generators and manifesting generators come to Buddha for guidance. That is the projector, right? Managing, organizing, counseling, guiding the manifesting generators and the generators of the world through their wise use of their energy. It's really kind of interesting how that plays out in the world. Good morning, Diane Pegram. It's great to see you. Lynn says, yes, living with 3 generators and a manifester, a couple that have defined will centers. Even knowing all of this human design as a projector with an open will center, I find it hard to really relax and not feel guilty. They do, and do. Not blaming, just noticing. Absolutely. That is who they're designed to be. You are not designed to be that way. And that's the truth, right? Unfortunately, what happens to a lot of projectors and reflectors, and in some cases manifestors, is sometimes they get labeled as lazy, right? Or fickle, especially the manifestors, right? You start 50 projects and you never finish them. Projectors who don't have the energy anymore to keep up and just literally find themselves couch potatoes for a while, that is right for them. Right? That is the correct way for them to be. They're living life and whatever it is that they can do that's right in front of them while they're waiting for the next invitation to engage. That is the correct way for them. Jan Landry, that's me, a 2-4. See, right, Jan, there's your conundrum right there between the energy of withdrawal and being a hermit, and the energy of doing and getting out there and being a networker and getting where your opportunities come from. So you have to be able to merge both. Londa says, I had a talk with someone in Australia, and she always says Australians are innovators and Americans put into play. U.S. energies are getting it done, but that puts heaps of pressure on the rest of us. The collective energies drives the rest of us, thinking we should all produce or we fail. Oh, wow. And isn't that huge? And what a relief for you to find out that that isn't true, right? That is a machination. That is an idea that has been brought to the planet via the generator, manifesting generator ideas. Their energy drives the world because they're the workhorses. They're the ones that get into the trenches and do the work, while the projectors and the others have their own roles, right? The manifestors are creators, the projectors are guides and leaders and are managers and help, move us in the right direction. And our reflectors are telling us about how healthy we are in our endeavors. Their relative health tells us about our relative health as a planet or as a community or as a tribe. So every type has its place and its purpose and its gifts and its talents, but you can't let the 70% dictate all of you and how you act, or dictate how you're meant to act. Mimi says she's grateful that even as a manifesting generator, I recognize the occasional need for the fine art of effing off. Absolutely, right? You are a human being, not doing. Human doing would put a different slant on it, right? That would mean that we were meant to go out and do. But that isn't the truth of who we are, right? So when you take that time to be, that is a good thing. Because otherwise, gate 40 or 37 it was this morning, I was reading it through the gene keys. And there's an element here of something that the Chinese called vital qi. And maybe it's actually 40. It was 40. And the gate 40, remember, is the one that's divine will, right? Using your resolve so that you do not go into exhaustion. Well, a part of that is that exhaustion happens when you're eating away at your vitality. So even generators and manifesting generators can get into a place where they're eating away at their vital qi. And the vital qi is finite, right? So the way that we are meant to be is in balance with our vital qi and the qi that we get through what we eat and from the energy of the people around us. And we're meant to balance all of that. And it's interesting that there is a lot of focus with the gate 40 on eating and digestion and making sure that we take in high energy foods, right? That we are taking in foods that support us and feed us energy as opposed to those foods that take away our energy. So that's an interesting combination of energy. So it rules the stomach, right? The 40. So if you're out there and you're having stomach issues or digestive issues, trace it back to how you're using your will. Are you using your will correctly or incorrectly? So great conversation that we could have about that, as it is a marker for problems in the stomach when we see it out of balance. When we see people using their will incorrectly, it often shows up first in how they're assimilating their food or how they are digesting their food. And I find it interesting because the gate 40 is related to the energy of Virgo. All of those planets that are at gate 40 are in Virgo, and Virgo also in the body rules digestion and good health. Okay, let's see what other comments are going on here. Are there several types of projectors? I would say there's not several types of projectors, but there are more energetic projectors, let's say. For example, some projectors have energy, not a motor, but they have, like, let's say the spleen perhaps that goes to the throat center, the gearbox, or maybe they have the ajna that meets up to the gearbox. So they have a little bit more energy, let's say, of manifesting and of communicating. They don't have to wait. It's not like they have to wait for a double invitation sort of thing to speak and also to do something. And there are then generators without that who are a little more quiet and have maybe a little less energy to devote to what they want to do in their world. It doesn't, everybody has all of the human design, so we get into tricky territory here. You have a sacral, right? You do have a sacral. It's just not defined, which means you don't have access to this continuous life force energy that supports vitality and the energy of doing. So you have to go about doing the doing in a specific way so that you don't burn yourself out. That's basically all it is entertaining life in a way that's supportive to you and your natural energy level, as opposed to taking away that vital energy from yourself. I hope that helps. Kathy, good morning, everyone. If anyone will be at the Oregon State Fair, come by. Nice, nice. Kathy, have fun doing that. Christine, that's me, projector. I have lower energy living my life with strategies to make it work. How do I get invited? Well, that's a great question. By the way, projectors are waiting for the invitation, right? So when we're talking about projectors, if you're wondering what the heck we're talking about, it's a type who engages in life via an invitation. And what that means is that people will invite you out into doing something or being something or joining up to something. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't invite. You can't literally go out and just say, hey, I invite you to invite me into your group. Nope, that's just not going to work. Instead, you can start a process of questioning. And let's see, who asked me that question? Christine. So Christine, let's say you wanted to be a part of a community that you've just found, and it would involve you being invited into it. You could set about to elicit the invitation, and that's a tricky word to use there, by asking questions. You could literally say, tell me more about your group. What is it that you guys do? And how do you choose people to join your group? And then if it is a correct opportunity for you, that will stimulate or trigger that other person you're talking to invite you in. If the invitation isn't forthcoming, then it isn't the correct opportunity for you, and you can just move on, right? You don't have to keep, beating around the bush trying to get this person to invite you in. When you begin the questioning process, it should stimulate an invitation if it is the correct thing for you to do. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense to you. Chanel says, good morning. So true about the vital chi. Absolutely. Good morning, Linda Dennis. Good morning, Rebecca. And yeah, so the vital chi, that's so important. And I'm going to transition now because I don't want to run out of time too much this morning to the new moon. So when we're talking about the new moon in Virgo, what are the things that Virgo rules? Well, we've talked a lot about some of the things, but here we have the physical health of the body, your diet and exercise. All of those things fall under the energy of Virgo. And so when we have a new moon that represents our ability to start something new, maybe it's a great time to start an exercise regime, change your diet, inject some more physical activity into your world. It is also one that focuses on work and the job that you have. So this isn't necessarily the career choice or the career path or how the world sees you, so much as it is the working atmosphere that you find yourself in. Who are the people you work with? And what's the environment like that you're in? What is the job that you do? And how, so kind of like, how do you apply your gifts and your talents in the world? How do you use them to serve out in the world? That is represented by Virgo. Virgo also represents organization, efficiency, being organized in the way that you do things, cleaning out the closet, if you will. It is also a sign in some ways that the sixth house is the house that Virgo rules. And there's an altruism that sort of goes through this part of the chart. There's a wanting to be helpful. Maybe that's more of what it is. And to be able to show up when people are in need. So, you know, those people that go out and help others when their house has been on fire or when they've lost everything or a hurricane strikes. That stimulates our Virgo need to be helpful, to take care of and help come to other people's aid. And Virgo also rules order. And if you looked at my dining room table here, you would say, Janet, you need to bring things into order because it's just chaotic. I did a really good job of organizing things the other day, and then one after another, I bring them all back out and make a mess of my desk. But that's because I have so much going on this week. And this new moon is also about relaxing our perfectionistic tendencies. There are times where we are just nitpicky, over analytical, over organizing. So we want to work with the extreme expression of our Virgo selves as well. That it might be the tendency to be a hypochondriac. It might be a tendency to over nitpick or overly analyze a situation. There is a point at which you can analyze something to death, right? And the pattern then becomes where we're stuck in that OCD sort of trying to analyze and overanalyze and over-organize. And, you know, we get so caught up in we've narrowed our vision so much that we have to step back and broaden our horizons a bit. So the new moon tomorrow is at 6 degrees, 47 minutes of Virgo, literally 7 degrees if you round it up. It occurs at 3:37 a.m. for me on the West Coast. And for those of you in the East Coast, 6:37 a.m. So early in the day, which is why we're talking about it today. Now, the new moon at 7 degrees Virgo is conjunct Mars and trine Uranus. Those are the two strongest connections it makes. But it isn't very far away from Mercury, and it isn't very far away from Venus either. And you take those connections and you put them all in a trine to Uranus, and we have strong, courageous, assertive, sexy, passionate, affectionate new moon, right? All of those things all rolled into one. Luckily, we have Venus in that conjunction because she sort of tempers that Mars, Sun, Uranus connection in a way. Otherwise, if it was just Mars, the Sun, and Uranus, we may just be overly aggressive. We may be overly confrontational. That could be taken to the negative expression. Venus makes it somewhat lighter and, tempers all of that. Mercury also helps us soften that energy up a bit. So we have the Mercury adding the ability to communicate with one another and speak positively to one another. And we have Venus adding affection and love and harmony to all of that energy. So here we have a great time with this new moon to make changes in your life. And it begins with the question, what do you want? Right? I did this with a client yesterday. She was asking me questions and I knew that she wanted answers to some of these questions, but I can't answer the question for you. I have to answer it for myself, but I can't answer it for you. And the question is, what do you want? What do you desire? What do you want to create? Who do you want to be? And you have the confidence and the ability at this point to entertain that question, perhaps in a way that you haven't been able to in a long time. Then go for it in your unique way. right? In the way that supports your type and in your being able to do things in a way that supports you. All right. So what does this new moon favor? Well, it favors goal setting. I hate goal setting. That is just not my forte. I set goals and then I totally forget about them. So if I use a different word like intention setting, it feels better. So use whatever words make you feel better. But this is a time for setting goals, setting intentions, and getting clear on what it is that you want to manifest. Being conscientious about what it is that you want to create. Does it make sense? Right? Does it make sense? Does it have some feet to it, some traction to it? Is it, if what you want to create and achieve is being a millionaire, then you probably should have some other steps before you get there, right? So you have to be a little bit more pragmatic when we have the new moon in Virgo, because it favors that practical, down-to-earth kind of approach to getting these things done. Commit to being your own best friend during this new moon. That is highly favored right now. So many times when we look at our charts, we see that 12th house with planets either transiting through it or planets there by birth, where we can, before we can really see the beauty and harmony of who we are as individuals, we have all of these ways in which we're sabotaging ourselves, all of these ways in which we're not showing up as our best friend, but as our own worst enemy. So get clear on that. Are you being your own best friend? Or are you being your own worst enemy? Are you self-sabotaging rather than supporting yourself? Right? So if you find yourself saying, I need to get healthy and I'm going to do that by, changing my diet, and then you find yourself eating, a carton of ice cream tonight, that's a bit self-sabotaging, don't you think? Right? That's not necessarily leading you to more health, but it is holding you to an old pattern. So we have this upset that we can create now in our old patterns. And this is a great opportunity to get whole, healed, and healthy. Deal with the issues around your body. If you're noticing changes in your body that you should have gone to the doctor about, it's time to go to the doctor. Get your checkups done. Do your due diligence with your health, because that's what Virgo really focuses on. And here's another little interesting tidbit around Virgo energy. When Jupiter was in Virgo 2 years ago now, gosh, wow. Seems like it was more recent than that, but it was, almost 3 years ago now. It was a time where we had the opportunity to really look at all of the parts of us that we've broken off and tucked away, hidden from ourselves. And when I say that, I mean, like, for example, anytime you break up with somebody, or you have an argument with somebody, or you fail at something, or you intuit that you've failed, or you think that you've failed at something, or you are in fear for something, right, about something. We break off a piece of ourselves, a piece of our soul, if you will, a piece of our wholeness, and we tuck it away. Like, we don't want to look at that. There's shame there. There's guilt there. There's something there, and it feels icky. And we really don't want to look at it. We don't want to embrace it, right? We want to resist it. Well, when we get to a new moon or a powerful set of personal planets sitting in Virgo, we again get this opportunity to become whole, to take all of those parts of yourself that you've broken off, the parts of yourself that weren't healed yet, and bring them in, embrace them, love them, make them a part of the whole of who you are, right? Because just because you've experienced a breakup in the past doesn't mean that that experience isn't a part of who you are. And the more that you push it away, the more that it holds power over you. So this is a great time to look into those dark corners, discover what it is that you're holding away from yourself, and bring it in and embrace it. And where that comes from, just for those of you who want to know, is that the 6th house is the house that's ruled by Virgo. But remember, when we talk about any one sign, we're also pulling in some of the opportunities from the opposite sign. So the opposite sign of Virgo is Pisces. Pisces is the ruler of the 12th house, as Virgo is the ruler of the 6th house. So while Virgo rules the physical well-being, Pisces, and by opposition, the 12th house, rules the more psychological health and the more inner health that you have. So we have an opportunity now to bring in and see the psychology of what it is that is happening to us, the parts that we've brought or broken off and left off, and to bring them in and embrace them in a new way, and to use that energy then to grow and expand. I hope that's helpful for everybody. Let me know if you guys understand what I'm talking about there. No comments here since Linda, why is that? Maybe you guys just understand everything I'm saying. Maybe you can feel it. I think overall, this is an excellent time, right? We're high energy. Use your energy correctly. Use your will correctly. Use the energy of Virgo planets to get healthy, to get grounded, to get real in whatever way that you want to get real. And manage yourself, your time, your energy, your resources in a way that is organized, or at least, in the very least, sustainable, right? Sustainable. All right. Any questions? If so, write those down here for me. I think I have covered just about everything. I have a good news story that I want to share with you today. This was an interesting one because I had not heard that this was even underway, that there is a push to legalize in some way for healing purposes the drug MDMA, which is ecstasy. It's an illicit drug. It's called ecstasy on the street, or Molly perhaps, or MDMA, right? That's the name. And they're using it as therapy for patients that have difficult to treat PTSD. And they have had a 68% cure rate in up into the second part of this clinical trial that they're doing. To me, that's just incredible that you can use a drug that's, you know, a rather hallucinogenic drug, or has it elevates mood, right? That's really what it does. It makes you feel like you can do anything. And they're finding that it's curing the most critical PTSD in, you know, servicemen who've come back from wars, and or, you know, people who have, you know, experienced tragedies in their life and they have PTSD. And I just think that I find that to be something to hold out a lot of hope for people, to prevent suicide amongst veterans and the homeless and others, right? Maybe it can be something that be, you know, taken off the street and focused in a way that helps a lot of people. And I just thought that that was a really good news story. Okay, guys. Oh, question here, Christine. If I don't know anymore what I want because I tried so hard before but nothing happened, want to be my own, but with this energy, I want to have my own company, but it feels like a fantasy. Hold on, I got to break this down a little bit. How do I make it work? Love to learn more. The best way to learn more, Christine, is to get a human design reading where we can actually look at your chart, break it down, tell you what your conundrums are, help you live your life in according to your type and your strategy. Your job out there, and this is for everybody, is the what, not the how. The universe, God, if you will, source energy, brings you the inspiration and the invitations based on your very powerful knowing of what it is you want. So if you want to create your own business, and let's just say your own business looks like a healing practice. Maybe you want to become an astrologer that works with people. And I'm making this stuff up, but let's just say that's what it is. Your job is to focus on that, what you want. What does it look like? What does it sound like? Where are you doing this? What do your customers look like, feel like? How do they sound? What does the business do? And all of that is what you focus on. What you are then meant to do is to follow your type and strategy and your authority into getting that, following the signs, listening for invitations, questioning, being open. That's your job. The how is the universe. Your job is the what. I hope that makes sense. I know a lot of times we get into the what and then immediately we go into our heads by asking the how. and wanting to know, when is this going to happen? What do I need to do? Who's going to help me? Where am I going to get the money? Can you prove that this is the right job for me to focus on, or the right place for me to go? And all of those questions only serve to get you back up in your head on that rat race wheel going round and round and round. Your job is the what, and then focus your energies on the what and follow your type, strategy, and authority to get there, to follow the steps that are outlaid for you, and to remain in your intuition, right? To follow your instinct. And because I'm assuming if you're a projector that you likely have splenic authority or intuitive authority, which means your intuition is speaking to you, right? It's telling you which direction to go. So I hope that helps, right? The how, not your job. The what is. So you say with the what, and the universe brings the opportunities, and you entertain those opportunities based on your authority and your type. Okay. And she likes that. Awesome. All righty. So I guess that is it for me today. We went through a lot of territory. Tomorrow's Friday. Not only will we be looking at Friday, but also Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, because I am taking Monday off. It's a 3-day weekend here in the United States, Labor Day, and I want to be available to do whatever fun stuff might come up. Not that you guys aren't fun, and not that this isn't fun, but if I go away, I want to be able to not have to worry about doing this. So tomorrow we will talk about 3 days worth of astrology, 4 days worth if you count Friday. We may also be able to do some card readings tomorrow, and maybe even some astrology. We'll see some astrology readings if someone reaches out and wants that. In the meantime, I wish you all a blessed day. Take care. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.